afternoon, Captain Machine here, back for another review. And today, as per the title page, we're going to be talking about Rogue Trader. Now, I have done a previous review in the past of Dark Heresy, which is the precursor to this game. In hindsight, I might have to do another review because I wasn't very kind to it. I was very, shall we say, non-enthusiastic about it. It's taken me a while and a lot of playing, and more precisely reading the material that goes with the products, like Dan Abnett's books, like Ravenhorn and Eisenhorn and Ravener, to really get the point and to have somebody other than me run it and show me what's supposed to happen. Now I love it. Now I love it to death. So, apart from this very prohibitive cost, because for some reason Fantasy Flight like to charge a lot for their books, an awful lot. So basically, Rogue Trader is the second in the trilogy of Warhammer 40,000 role-playing games, and if you don't know what the Warhammer 40,000 universe is, I don't really have time in this video to tell you. It's quite a complex setting. Suffice to say, in a rather totalitarian state that the Imperium of Man is, there are these individuals called Rogue Traders who have a warrant of trade, and pretty much they're a law unto themselves. They're allowed to move around, make profit as and when they can, have their own dynasties of money and power and fleets of ships outside of the normal Imperial Navy. Some of which actually can rival the Imperial Navy in collective firepower. And you play a crew of one of those ships. Well, at least you start that way anyway. It's kind of like a cross between Dark Heresy, Star Trek, and the Master and Gentleman. Is it Master and Gentleman? Master and Commander. It's like a cross between those three things. And bear in mind that Dark Heresy is a cross between Cthulhu and space. So, it gets kind of weird. Basically, the Star Trek bit comes from the fact is you all play officers in the ship. So one person will probably play the Rogue Trader, he's the captain effectively. One person will play the navigator, one person will play the communications officer, which in this case is a psyker, because the only way to get any sort of fast and light communication in the Warhammer 40,000 universe is to do it telepathically. And a gunner, which is your Void Master, or can also be a helmsman. You've got your security officer, which is your Master of Arms. You've got your tech specialist, which is your essential, or your tech priest. I can't remember what they're called now. They've got a funny name, tech priest. And you've also got your cleric in there as well for good flavour. If you like the Warhammer 40,000 setting, it's a lot of fun. It harkens back to the first edition of the Warhammer 40,000 game, which was actually called Rogue Trader as well. And a lot of the material that we're playing with now is based not only on the books that have come out in the last couple of years from Black Library, but also on the books, on the material that was in that first ever Rogue Trader book. How relevant that would be to running it nowadays, I would say it would very little relevance, although you could mine it for information if you're particularly good at that sort of thing. Although picking up a copy of Rogue Trader these days can be quite difficult. They are getting increasingly rarer. People less likely to part with them, and when they do part with them, they know how much they're worth and they're willing to charge for it. The cheapest I've seen one going for at the moment is 20 quid, and I'm reliably told that's a bargain, £20. I personally don't think I need it, so £20 for me is a bit of an over expenditure. The whole game is made up of two different components: the role-playing element, which is player interaction with each other or NPCs, or the fighting part of it, which is pretty much identical to how Dark Heresy plays. The second part of it is inter-ship combat, which is a relatively new concept designed specifically for this game. Now, ship combat in the Warhammer 40,000 universe is very much inspired and based on the 17th, 18th century naval combat, with broadsides and outmaneuvering your opponent and things like that. A lot more than, say, I don't know, Babylon 5 is, or Star Trek, anything like that. You don't tend to get those very fast manoeuvrable ships. You get slow lumbering Leviathans with cannons along the side. And it's very good if you like that sort of gameplay, if you've ever played any sort of game which relates to, you know, that kind of period or is based on that kind of period. And you would think that it would be quite boring for an entire group of people to be condensed down to one model. If you're using models, obviously, if you're not using tokens or whatever on a grid-based system, it could potentially be quite boring. And the way around that is the fact is, and this is something that Fantasy Flight have done with this game, which is brilliant. The way around that is every person has a role. Granted, they might not be very good at it at the start, but then again, who is? But yeah, so you got your commander, your rogue trader, who can motivate people, get them to work harder, help repel invaders, things like that. You've got your cleric who will keep morale up. You've got your void master who will move the ship around. You've got your master of arms who will fire all the guns. Your navigator can like do all the scanning and things like that, and your Hudikaris. Your Psyker can do psychic things to other ships, and you get the idea. Everybody has a role, and if they don't have a role, you can make them fit into a role, because everybody can have one action per turn, but there is literally like a dozen different actions you can take, and most of which are relevant every single round of the game. And a lot of it's about marshalling bonuses and basically getting the best modifiers you can get so that the actions you want to perform will actually happen. So space combat actually is quite intuitive in the fact that it doesn't leave anybody out. Even people that are relatively unskilled in the required skills can attempt it unskilled, or can default to the skill level of the particular crew. So that's a lot of fun. How it compares to Dark Heresy is it's much higher powered. You tend to start, I can't remember the exact amount now. Oh god, it's been a couple of weeks since I last played this game. You start with a fair chunk of XP right from the get-go, and when you get a created character off the bat, they are specifically stronger, faster, got more skills, more talents, more effective talents as well, than the average Dark Heresy character. So the book does say that if you want to use Dark Heresy characters, which you can do, to bring them up to par, you have to give them a big chunk of XP. So it's a higher tier, not only of gaming in terms of the fact that you have more responsibility because you're in charge of a ship, but it's also a higher tier of play in the fact that you are a more powerful character. So yeah, Rogue Trader is a lot of fun. It's slightly difficult to get. Now, I'm always going to say that there is a negative to everything, and the thing I found negative to it was this thing called endeavours, which is your ability to measure how well you do at your particular mission or whatever, or your ability to raise capital, which affects your profit rating. It's a very abstract system. I don't feel that the rulebook explains it particularly well. I've gone on the forums and spoken to other people about it, and a lot of people just tend to largely ignore it, give or take. I don't feel the system that they've included with it is actually very intuitive, and I would hope that there's some kind of, I wouldn't say replacement to it, but I would like someone to put a better explanation to it, possibly in whatever book comes out for the Rogue Trader next, because I don't know what book's coming out yet. Apart from the GM Screen, the core rulebook, we've got nothing so far. But then again, if you want your equipment, the Inquisitorial Handbook is full of equipment which you can use in the game. It's a completely 100% compatible system. The Creatures book for Dark Heresy will do you swimmingly for a creature book for Rogue Trader, because once again, it is exactly the same system. The only difference is that starting characters in Rogue Trader are more powerful. So, out of all, what do I give this? I give this a 4 out of 5. I do really enjoy this. It would, in my opinion, be a 5 out of 5 game if it wasn't for the fact that it's a bit iffy as to how they're going to support this. I would like a book to come out soon for things like spaceships, full of different NPC spaceships, and also more options as well, because you tend to find that you run out of them quite quickly. It's very easy to get 1 or 2 ships in the game and give them pretty much every upgrade you can get, and then you're thinking, what else is there to get out there? So I'd like more options in that regards, more chassis to base the game upon, and also more NPCs as well, make it a lot easier to run ship combat. So more actions, more NPC ships, basically something that makes the ship combat part of it much more fun, because it is fun to start with, but I'd like that little bit extra, in my opinion. And the endeavours bit, the endeavour just confuses me, and that, in my opinion, needs to be explained either in a like FAQ or in a Games Master's book, because what is in the core rulebook, although it does cover the basics of it, in my opinion, isn't very intuitive, and it does hamper my ability to understand the concepts. So I would give that a 4 out of 5. Thank you for your time, guys. Goodbye.